and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be breaking down Evil, Season 1, Episode 7, Vatican 3. In this episode, the team is asked by the church to investigate whether or not a woman who has confessed to murder during an exorcism is telling the truth. This gets a little spicy. Kristen learns from her friend Myra that the murder actually did happen, that there were 3 of them, and they were all like young boys, like really, really young boys. But the police are working it as a missing persons and not a murder case because the bodies have not been found. Myra wants Kristen to tell her what she knows about the alleged serial killer because Kristen's friend is a cop, and she thinks that it's a serial killer. That is picking up these boys and killing them. But Kristen refuses to due to patient-therapist confidentiality, which she actually has a discussion with David about, because initially she wants to tell the police about this confession. But David reminds her, okay, well, so, as a psychologist or whatever it is that she is, talking to you in your office, are you gonna call the cops on them? And she's like, well, if it's a past crime and they're not planning on re-offending, it falls under, patient, doctor-patient sort of confidentiality, right? And he's like, well, same thing here. So she kind of, and falls on that side of the fence. So when she goes to her friend looking to see, just kind of putting feelers out there to see if this woman is telling the truth, if there actually was a young boy that was killed, right? When it turns into a bigger thing, then it's like, oh, I can't, thank you for helping me out, but I can't help you, right? And things are just a little tense between the two. And then, of course, she pulls the doctor-patient privilege card, right? Yeah. Though Kristen does later tell Myra the location of all 3 boys. But they have an understanding that it's anonymous. They're, let me deal with things on my end, and then you can kind of have her after is kind of the idea. But Myra arrests the possessed woman. She ends up all the cops come to the house. It's crazy. And they end up arresting this possessed woman for the murders. And Kristen is pissed with her friend. She even starts to chew her ear off, right there in front of everybody, right? But then her friend explains to her that it was the husband. The husband had called 911 and gave them all this information, right? So it had nothing to do with her conversation with Kristen. It was the fact that the husband called 911. The team figures out that it was the husband who did the killing, killed all 3 boys, and is then arrested by the police. So I have questions about that, but basically they all get together and they're talking and they kind of figure this out, right? And there's some sort of medical transference thingy that Kristen goes into why the wife would assume responsibility and go along with it and whatever. Ben thinks it's all bullshit. Ben's great. Ben thinks they're both that her and David are two sides of the same coin at this point, only one's being like under the guise of science because doctor, and the other, you know, is just religious fanaticism or whatever. And Ben's like, you all crazy. Like, you all nuts. He's so funny. But they figure that it's the husband anyway. And David decides to go back to the house and you know, give the husband some religious counsel kind of deal. And he goes back to the house and he finds them in a nursery, because the couple had at one point they'd lost a baby. She'd miscarried, and so it's just like an empty nursery. It's so sad. But he's like prying the baseboard off, and you know, he's taken from within the walls like these trophies and a bloody knife and like all kinds of stuff, right? And he actually attacks David at one point. It's nuts. But yeah, he is eventually arrested and taken in, and he is charged and all that good stuff, right? In between all this, the church starts to question the team about their interactions with Grace and the Codex, eventually showing them some of the pages. So the show actually opens up with these three like specialists coming down from the Vatican, and they're sitting each member by themselves, and the three of them are talking to them. And at points in Kristen's interview and at a point in Ben's interview, they both get up and leave, right? They kind of nope out of the whole thing. They get very personal. Ben gets bent out of shape because the Muslim thing is semi-brought up. And Kristen gets up and leaves because they start questioning her about her relationship with David. And they both kind of go, like, we're not here to talk about, like, our personal lives. We're here to talk about Grace, the Codex, and that. Like, that's it, right? And so they just noped out of the whole thing. And David ends up sitting down with the Monsignor, and he's like, listen, your people can talk to my people, but it's strictly business. You keep everybody's personal lives out of it. Like, if they want, you know, everybody's so concerned about, you know, prophecies and false prophets, and well, then let's talk about that and not talk about, you know, XYZ in whoever's personal life. Like, yeah, they got told. Kristen and David figure out that one of the pages shows a hierarchy of the 60 demons, one of which is the same sigil that Leland drew on Kristen's daughter's diaries. That was a mouthful. So, going through the pages that these three Vatican specialists show them, right? One is like a great big, like poster-sized thing of sigils, right? And they come to realize that these are demon sigils. It's a demonic page. It's not a holy thing at all. It's a demonic page. And it has depictions of well, these sigils that some sort of represent the 60 we keep hearing about, the 60 demons, right? These higher ups in the demonic realms that, I don't know, like to fuck with shit, right? And I was right to make note of the pig thing in the one girl's diary, because that is one of the sigils on this page, is the pig. Yeah. See, I pay attention. You don't think I pay attention? I pay attention. But I can't turn a page. Another of the demonic sigils is drawn by David's father and is shown in the corner of his paintings. So that was I was kind of lost at that, because he goes back, he sees this sigil that's very familiar to him, and his face just goes like, and he goes back to his room, and he's going through these paintings. I'm like, what the fuck is with these paintings? I think we've seen them before, but whatever. I can't remember. And I don't remember him talking much about his dad, though he may have. I don't know. I would have to go back in my notes. But he's going through these paintings, and they're like it's like a watermark in the corner of all the paintings. I'm pretty sure it was just one type of sigil. And if I can find a good enough view of it, I'll put it up on screen. But it's in like a watermark in the corner of all his paintings. It's like how he signs his artwork. It's interesting. David is visually freaking the fuck out about it. Like, I'm thinking it's going to be a big deal. And also intertwined with all of this is our dear Townsend. He starts counseling a young man who he saw get rejected by a young barista in a coffee shop. Townsend convinces this young man to avenge himself, to get his power back, and kind of nudges him toward this online community of like-minded incel types. And I mean, they go in hard on this incel thing, like, and Townsend, like, I don't know, he's sitting in this coffee shop, while this young boy, and I mean, he can't be more than 19 or 20. I don't even remember if he says, but he can't be more than 19 or 20. And he's so awkward. And he walks up to this girl that's, behind the counter of the coffee shop. And, she calls him, like, Blueberry or something like that. He gets blueberry muffins, okay? And he asks her out and, go out for a drink. And I think you're really pretty. And he just kind of, like, word vomits all his feelings out on her, right? It's a little much for first time talking, right? And she's at work. Like, when you're at work, I mean, ladies, come on, men too, when you're at work, are you expected to get hit on? Like, I mean, it's just so freaking awkward. But she handles it very politely and just says, I'm flattered, thank you very much, but I'm very sorry, but I'm in a relationship. And he kind of banters with her, starts to kind of argue it a little bit with her, and she just sort of, to the lady behind him, and calls her whatever nickname, whatever it is that she normally orders, right? And so Townsend picks up on that and pounces on this poor kid, like, immediately. And he's like, women, blah, blah, blah. Like, you just, like, some of the things that come out of this man's mouth, like, I mean, we've heard him say some crazy shit, but yeah. he just totally takes that very innocent situation that all of us, young man, young woman, whatever, have all been through probably more than once. And just really twists it into something gross, right? That she's, stripping him of his power and making him look stupid and blah, 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 blah. Just so not the case, right? The kid even says, like, how was I supposed to know she has a nickname for everybody? Well, if you've ever worked in customer service in something like a coffee shop or whatever, you tend to give people nicknames, even if you don't say them out loud, just so that you know who they are, if they're regulars, and that, okay, there's, large double with a butter croissants, and that's what they're going to get. And you start getting it ready or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I did it in hairdressing too. I knew people by their haircuts. Like, I mean, didn't know your name unless I seen it written down on the ledger or whatever, but like, I know you by your haircut. It's a thing. We all do it. And he just twists that into something so manipulative and just really feeds on this poor kid's like insecurity, and turns that insecurity into hate, and then, you know, gives it a laser pointer to shoot it at, right? Like, here's this community of people that think the same way, and blah 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 blah, like, go, you know, but, you know, go talk to them, and you know, whatever, and, you know, but you might have to do some stuff. Like, it gets really shady. This guy, this actor that plays Townsend is so friggin' good. It's so friggin' good. This was a good episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. This was good. I had some thoughts though. Like, we never get any closure for the possessed woman. We don't find out, was she possessed? Was this some sort of weird domestic transfer thingy that whatever the frig it was Kristen was trying to call it? Like, it's never explained. If she was possessed, is she cured now? Because, I mean, the bathroom was all padded at one point. She had bruises all over. She was, you know, tied to the floor or whatever. Like, I mean, it was nuts. It was... So, that is never wrapped up, in my opinion. We don't see or hear from Cheryl. I mean, Kristen does tell David about her mom and Leland dating, because she shows him the books that Leland brought, and tells him, you know, Leland was in my house and brought these books and put these drawings in them and blah 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 blah. And that leads to the whole discussion of, you know, Cheryl dating Leland, but they're not anymore, and blah, and I handled it and it's all good and whatever, like, you know. But that's all we ever hear. Leland doesn't mention anything about Cheryl. We don't see her. Like, yeah, there's nothing. So I'm wondering about that. And I mean, she picked out the red dress before, and there was this whole thing in the previous episode about Kristen avoiding red for 7 days. Like, I don't know. I love that David stood up for his crew with the 3 Vatican specialists and the Monsignor, because the Monsignor was pushing them to talk. You know, don't argue with them, just tell them what they want. And David was like, no. What we're not going to do is get all personal and whatever. Like, they don't need any of that. It's useless. What they need is what we need, and so we should be sharing mutually, right? No more, no less. I really liked that. If the Codex predicts the end of the world, does that have something to do with maybe releasing the 60 demons? Yeah, so is it like a key that unlocks something? Like, what's that all about? Like, we need to decipher this, because I have questions. Yeah. Are we gonna get more demons? Listen, I love Demon George. I want to know, is Demon George a demon? Like a paralysis demon that's just like every now and again just kind of fucking with Kristen? Or is it something that's actually stuck in her head from an online TV show that she's seen? Because I'm a little confused about that. I'm thinking he's an actual demon. I'm hoping he's an actual demon. I love that character so much. And I hope we get more. Oh, I hope we get more. Like the one that, when they were doing the VR thing, and like that game was never shut off. Listen, I have so many questions, and we're not getting any answers. I need answers. Anyways, I'm getting really into this, and I'm so enjoying it. It's a wild ride, this show. It's great. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.